I don't know about you, but there's a part of me, as you might have seen, and maybe is a part of you, that is very rebel-like. I hear this, I see these t-shirts, spiritual gangster everywhere. I see spiritual maverick. And I mean, what do those words point to? To embody something unique about yourself that defies conformity, yeah? So I invite you in a number of ways. Where do you feel that you're losing yourself to the system of conformity? You know, where do you find that you just so slightly irritated that you are so spiritually cool, nice? Just you're a little bit more edgy than that. You don't mind using the F word, the C word, the B word, the D word, the fuck it word, you know, just like fuck it. Fuck it is every moment today to feel that it's really a fucked up situation. And are you really being true to yourself? I mean, Martin Luther King, he used the phrase sacred outrage. Where are you in there? There's every reason to be fucking pissed off today. The end of life. The kids have no future. They're talking about the end of habitat, the end of food, and the denigration, dystopian-like life of the downed endgame that we're compelled to face. So there's every reason to be outraged today. In the process, though, I'm not saying encourage your anger, but no one's keeping score at the end of the day. Your compromise will be your own sacred fear, your own sacred vault you got to take with you into your sleep. Compromise, not living in the way that you want. The number one thing I hear from those who study it, regret. So many people spiritualize their lives to blend in, not to become less incarcerated, to become more impassioned, more outrageous, more outspoken, more you're a spiritual outlaw, whatever that may be. Where's your innovative edge? I ask these questions to myself. No matter what the age is today, where can you be more authentic to the edges, the expansions, the truths, the urges of your sexuality, your soul, your vocation? What evidence do you want to leave in present time presence that gave you the confidence that you lived, not that you were a good fucking meditator, that you pacified all the passions? So I encourage you in this process here for these 6 days. You will get it from me. I will absolutely support your radical. You want to break out of a boring ass relationship? Talk to me about it. You want to become more outrageous in your expression of poetry and spoken word, theater? Talk to me about it. You want to challenge an addiction that you absolutely adore? Talk to me about how much you love it. You think you love it now? Get me onto it. You'll be so addicted to that habit, you'll want to crucify me or put me in your will. Alan killed me. Here's all my money. He encouraged me to smoke more beautifully. Do lines of cocaine with greater awareness. Bring it into your yoga studio and fucking do a line right there, downward facing snort. You know, look what you do already on the dance floor. Look what you do behind closed doors in dark corners of your own shadow. Come out into the light. Normalize outrageous. Spiritual people are outrageous. So watchful of the pacification. So my marquee here is, and I've used it frequently in my theater piece, Spiritually Incorrect, the art of not fitting in. If people are patting you on the back all the time, it's not working, dude, I'm telling you. It is not working. So where can you stretch beyond your normal presence into creative expressions, business expressions, intimate expressions? I say even to those who are radically polyamorous, no offense, I'm older, okay, I've been down the road. Maybe it's cool to commit not just to, the dysfunction of monogamy, but maybe it's time to be a polyamorous celibate. Yeah, fall in love with people. Keep your clothes on. Channel it higher. Totally channel it higher. They'll tell you have some people that will applaud you. You think those guys are attracted to you now? Keep your clothes on. And take it higher. Do a whole new dance. I'm saying be innovative. The children need new expressions of creativity. They need to see that it works. Right now, the Z generation and before that, it's not working. For my daughter, my generation, dysfunctional. For me, my generation, absolutely sellout capitalist fucking frauds. They are absolutely insanely driven by money, pride, and low-level applause. All of them, categorically, across the board. Sadly, because I'm part of the Me Too movement for spiritual incorrectness, I hear all this shit on these people, and it's despicable. I won't say names. They already know the names. Name a name. Name a name. Who? God on down. The Buddha on up. Look at the Buddha. They whitewash this guy's life. Completely whitewash it. He sent out emissaries all over northern India looking for the most fucking beautiful woman on earth. Imagine me doing that in Ubud on Ubud day and night. I want only the most fucking beautiful woman in all of Indonesia. And they're just dishing them up to him. The night he leaves the palace, there he is looking at his wife, 9 months, 23 hours pregnant, ready to give birth on the spot. I don't think this is right for me. I think it's time to renunciate and go up to Ubud and do a little bit of Akasha dancing. On the way, unfortunately, I saw an old person. I never knew that people got old, he said. We're supposed to believe that horse shit? Where were you, dude? I'd never seen someone diseased at 29 years old, and you're the fucking prince of an entire region of northern India? I was only there for a couple of months. All you see is disease. It's bullshit. For me to say that, am I a heretic? I'm grateful to be a fucking heretic. Am I post-Buddhist today? I'm fucking grateful to be post-Buddhist today. You know what? I own my mind. Do you? I ask you to write down, where do you want to be someone more in your life? It's easy to negate. Try it with comedy and humor and satire. It's far better than anger and rage and blame. You reinvent yourself that way. But on the higher note, now that I'm tired of being pissed off at everyone who's basically violated me, dad on down and up and beyond, I think I'm going to seize the opportunity. You know that word? Can't pronounce it so right. Carpe diem. Kick it into gear here. It's one thing to be silent, transcendent, non-dual, peaceful. Fuck that stuff. It's time to be wild and outrageous. Go into the future, wild and crazy in your beauty. Do things that have never been done before. Excuse me. So, the art of not fitting in. One story I will come back to you. I mentioned a few times that I was in Yugoslavia during the war. I was never under threat. It's not some heroic story. I was simply in a city of incredibly beautiful minds under a tragic circumstance. Yes, there were soldiers killing around, but I never felt threatened. It's strange, surreal. My partner at the time, she was Croatian, still a friend of mine, very dear friend. We hung out with the Zagrebian artists, the poets, the philosophers, the writers. They were the ones who weren't at the front lines fighting it out. What do we do? What do you do when there's nothing else to do? You dance, you do drugs, you have sex, and you write poetry. And what do you do the next day? You dance, You have sex, you do drugs, and you write poetry. And you cry. And you philosophize. There was no night and day. Think of that. In monasteries, you're told, when you come to the monastery, I want you to remove the watch from your soul. There's no night and day here. Pretty interesting. That means I can party out all day and night? Yep. What does that mean? Within the confines of the structure, lose it. In Zagreb, tragically for me, a tragic sacred truth, because of the pervasiveness of the wars, I had never felt so vitalized and at liberty and privileged to not pretend anymore. I say I'm in love with you, I love you. Do you want to make love right now? And they did, right there in the fucking nightclub. In America, you'd be jailed like that, or in Paris, it'd be porno. But there, it was a sacred act, and people would cry. They knew it was reverential. I'm not saying be wild because it's outrageous. I'm saying be wild because it's reverential to the release of fear and shame and worry. It's the beautification of overcoming past historical trauma. It's the positive transformational model made good on the promise of the power of passion. So I ask you, what do you want to do? How do you want to live? What do you want to say to your partner that you've never said or done or touched or felt or manifested? What do you want to bring into the world? How many of you are creators, business people? What do you want to do to expand upon the promise of what you've already created? So don't be frightened or timid with, I want to go to Bohemia this Thursday and suffer the smoke. And I want to write a poem. And I want people to basically say it's groovy and cool. But you got to suffer the consequences. It may be completely neurotic and completely narcissistic, and everyone looks at you and blows smoke in your ass. You got to run the risk of upsetting your fear to be unique and different. Pause. In Zagreb, we had a saying there. Dictatorship wants to remove from your face the beautiful, unique scars and idiosyncrasies of your unshaped fucking teeth. They don't want you to look at your fucking breasts and put implants in them. They don't want you to put Botox and filler in your fucking lips. Dictatorship wants that. Do you get that? Do you fucking get that? Are you willing to own that? No. Because you want to fit in, because you're a fucking whore to capitalism and to dictatorship called freedom and spirituality, and you're a fucking fraud. How's that? I didn't mean it. It was not me. I got overcome with something that was just repressed trauma. So in Zagreb, they had a thing that basically said, fucking dictatorship. These dicks want to fucking remove our beauty. They want us to behave in homogenized ways and think that you're wrong because you're fucking Croatian Catholic and I'm a fucking Bosnian Muslim. And somehow we're not fit to fucking be friends or family, although you're married to my brother and he's a Bosnian Muslim. And they said to each other, which side of your fucking heart do you want me to kill? The Croat or the Muslim? Fuck you. And religion wants us to do that, right? You're a Buddhist. No, you're not as deep as a Hindu. No, you're an Advaita. You're an Ashtanga. You want to divide. You're an apartheid asshole. Get outrageous is my exaggeration of Martin Luther King. He said, I am outraged at the white man's fucking injustice to fucking baton our black brothers and sisters and crack their fucking skulls. I'm pissed. And for every one of these skulls that you crack, we've got 100 more brothers and sisters ready to be cracked. I'm sacredly outraged. It's pretty cool. I wish I could walk that talk. But I hear the words. Do you hear them? I'm inviting you on day 1. Let's not wait to day 6 and integrate the passivity of mindfulness in daily fucking life. Let's get wild and crazy here. And my partner would often tell me, Alan, dance in a way that's never been done before. And that was the motto of the rebels, the revolutionaries. Let no two of us dance alike. Because dictatorship wants to homogenize you into the dull same nothingness of their own fucking dictatorial denial. Conformity sucks. And so I ask you here in Zagreb, in Ubud, in Bali, are you conforming? And how are you conforming? Not to judge that, not to violate it, but to really mindfully examine. Maybe polyamory, just bear with me, bear with me. Bear with me, fuck Alan, shut the fuck up about polyamory. It may be that it's just a euphemism for your need to feel violated over and over again. Sorry. Dun, 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 dun. For every girl here, there's one guy, 100 girls. Your yoni is so fucking special, girl, it's unthinkable. My name is Shakti. I will heal that fucking yoni. We're doing yoni massages at the end of the group today, by the way. And they're free. You think you got trauma in your heart? Wait till you feel me touch your yoni. Come on, girls. What on the fuck are you doing? Overcome it. Drop it. Is it real is the question. I'm not saying right or wrong. Don't hear that. I'm not a preacher. But is it true for you? And how do you know that to be true? Or is it conformity to the prevalent theology of hip, chic, happening, ubud? Okay, I'm just putting out a particular song that may resonate. Get wild, get real, overcome conformity to acceptable spiritual behaviors that are dysfunctional. How many meditating teachers that are enlightened are absolutely frauds? They would love to hear this talk, and they'll watch it, but they will never mimic it. They would never mimic it because there's too much to lose in coming out of the closet of their denial. How many Buddhist teachers that I know, I wish I could tell my students I'm not enlightened, but they've sold books on it. Imagine Eckhart Tolle with the power of now. I live everywhere other than here. I can't tell people that I can't live in the moment. I'm comatose in the now. What are you trying to advocate? Like now, 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 now. Now is not here. Now is like multidimensional everywhere, including mystery and the future and the past as being real. You think being in the past and the future is wrong? Marry someone with Alzheimer's and you will love every fucking memory they've ever shared with you, and it's fucking indulging the past. It's not a negative. Get over this bullshit, fascist, Nazi crap that the now is the place to live your life. It's not. Here and now. You gonna let me get away with that? See, look at you, stone face. You're really stepping on very sacred territory here. Are you willing to do that for yourself? I'm just sort of playing satire here to evoke a little bit of a revolution. So none of us dance in the same way. I'll end with this story and we'll go on to questions. Obviously, I'm of a different generation than most, unless you're in your 60s and you grew up in America with acid and dance and celebration. Ubud was all over America then. It was all over the EU. Pirate radio, it was amazing. I don't know how many of you can go far back to remember Jimi Hendrix. He broke the coma of R&B, and I love black rhythms. I grew up in the South. But when I walked into a party and I saw people dancing to fucking Foxy Lady, it was like over and out on Motown. That was it. And when someone put acid in my mouth when I was 15 and I listened to Hendrix, it was like, it wasn't just music, it was like hope that the coma of American conformity had an outcome other than bullshit. When you look at one of the great documentaries that were made on the Isle of Wight concert, where Hendrix was one of the main presenters, watch it. There he is playing up on stage with 250,000 people long into his fame, way down the road. And some of that music is iconic. And there he is, just walking out with his band, and he plays in the slowest rhythm, if you haven't heard the song, Hey Joe. And it's just not quintessential, let's get down with the classics Hendrix. And I was watching this documentary hoping to get like completely jazzed by the film, and all of a sudden the camera, unsuspecting, isolates on men in the audience who were drinking, and they're starting to boo Jimi Hendrix. Now that's like, imagine what would be the equivalent. I don't even know. I mean, it's like going to an ecstatic dance somewhere at Yoga Barn and someone's booing the DJ. Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe does it happen? Never, it's impossible. Someone booed like the best DJ out of Europe, who's come all this way to do a freebie at Yoga Barn. It's packed out. People are unbelievably getting married on the dance floor without even having sex. And they're booing him, and they're booing Hendrix, I can't believe it. And they're yelling out, play Foxy Lady. And they're basically wanting him to perform for them. Entitled, need to be in what I project on you that I want you to do for me. I want you to be my little fucking wind-up doll. I want you to be my little fucking spiritualized little whatever. Are you living in puppetry, mimicry, expectations, or pleasing, or all for others in what you consider to be the edge of your music and your spirituality? I was a really fucking good evangelical Buddhist meditation teacher. How many people I know believe their own shit? They start off innocent, but as they get and develop followings, they get a G behind their name, or they've gone to India for a couple of minutes and get a Shri in front of it, or whatever it is that you do to validate now the reason why people throw flowers in front of you and they can't speak when you walk in, and they pay $100 for 20 minutes of a video of you talking dialogue with them in the front of the room, and all roads lead back to me understanding what you don't know. That fucking psychological setup is bullshit. Hendrix, they're booing. No one in a million years can say what I'm saying in front of the Dalai Lama, that he's homophobic. Sanctioned two of the most leading Tibetan Rinpoches in the history of Tibetan Buddhism, who turned out to be radical smutbags. Deep predation with students and children over decades. Highly trained in the most sophisticated Tibetan teachings. Alan, are you trampling on some sacred fucking territory here? You're pointing fingers at the Dalai? Yep. I'm inviting you to become outrageous. And what is your real truth? Are you really investigating this? And so in this particular issue here, Hendrix simply stopped and looked at the audience in disbelief that they're booing him for the first time in history, that he's not playing music that they want to hear, rather than him just authentically being in his rhythm, okay? He walks off the stage, and what happens? Who knows why? They all say it was an overdose. 2 days later, he's dead. Do you give up hope when 250,000 people boo you for what you've been celebrated for? Because you're not conforming to being their puppet and their need? How many teachers are puppets of the expectations of their students? You and me. So I'm asking for a revolution of integrity, of conscience, of passion, and I leave with you questions. Addictions to me are really good news. Quote me. If you've got an addiction going on, whether it's secretive or overt, I would consider that one of the most enlightened aspects of your character. It is not indicative of trauma. Quote me. I will not ask for your money to overcome it through plant medicine. Your addictions is the beautiful expression of your soul. If you want to ask me about that over these 6 days, I'll talk to you about it. I refuse to participate in the conformity of self-denigration under any circumstance. My particular motto. So I invite you as we close in this day, I don't know exactly what the time is, but I'm sure it's getting close to 5. Is it?
4:45.
What time?
4:45.
4:45. Do you have questions, comments that you would like to make at the end of day 1? Because this is just the beginning of day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you have things that would like to make it work better for you, tie it together, don't hesitate to ask. Heidi.
So Alan, I was wondering, when we were talking earlier about like the self-perpetuation of your own unhappiness through these different states of grief, anger, etc., in the first session, and just applying it to, I guess, the meditation session that we did today. What do you do if you have
Here.
So what do you do if, like, okay, so in my personal situation, I have a lot of grief, like a lot of grief and loss that I'm working through that I probably put off working on. So in my early 20s, I did all this meditation and it was amazing, but it was more transcendental. So I would rise above it, and then I got to my 30s and it just all hit me. And any time I go into a meditative state, it's like instead of going above it, I'm going into it. And so I feel it, and it's so huge that it's like it just keeps hitting you over and over and over and over and over again. How do you get out of it?
I will recommend a good therapist for you. That's one of the best ways. And I say that with tremendous support for you. I have a therapist that I've been seeing for 40 years. I'm blessed to have my 3 closest friends to be very prominent clinical psychologists and 1 psychiatrist. I live in processing edges. And I have men in my life and women in my life who are highly trained who refuse to participate in me denigrating myself. So yes, I cry, I grieve, I cathartic, but they're there to help support me to evolve the best and the beautiful in me. So I would only recommend that when I hear you speak like this, Heidi, it's just you're yearning to be met with intelligent energy to commingle those very human experiences that you're talking about, that we all know, and how to, in your own unique, intelligent, creative way, evolve them into more beautiful aspects that strengthen the fiber of your integrity, your passion, your woman. And it's really coming back to the word Kalyanamita. If you're so lucky in this life to have one person in a lifetime who you can really look to as a voice of intelligence is very rare. I mean, among the many dysfunctions that I have, I've had a terribly strong predilection of seeking out really interesting people and knowing how to be in their company without being a nuisance. And I think that's a very, very important trait if you're looking to really accelerate beyond traditional practices. I can't emphasize enough, I am who I am based upon some very important people that I consider to be unbelievable tribe members. And so, we're new in each other's life. I'll be your ally. And I have friends in my life I'll introduce you to who can also possibly be your ally. But it's there. It's just a question of finding the right space and time to talk about it. Meditation won't necessarily influence it too strongly.
I think it's more like the lid's been lifted off, and I'm discovering with that it's kind of like when the lid lifts off, you feel everything, so everything is also more beautiful. So you experience so much more depth and beauty and magic and love and happiness. But the other side is true as well. So you experience so much more of the loss, the grief, and that just doesn't seem to go away. It doesn't seem to stop coming. you want it to stop. Like, just give me the good stuff. It's not going to happen, is it?
I've had ins and outs with that. But by and large, I would stay with it's not going to go away. But the fidelity to more refined states increase. You know, not to come back to me repeatedly, but people ask me often, how do you live every day? I think that's one of the best kept secrets in our lives. How do you live every day? What do you do literally when you get out of bed? And not many people will let you in on that intimacy. How do you get out of bed? What do you do when you get out of bed? Do you do yoga every day? What do you do? What are the asanas that you do? Why do you do it? Who do you talk to? What do you talk about? You write every day. What are the notes that you take? Can I see your notes? Can you talk to me about what you create? Do you have books that you're writing? Do you have films that you're writing? Would you talk to me about your process? It's striking how unintimate we are when there's so much intimacy to be shared. So that would be the invitation, is to lead with what you want and see if you get met more and more with what you're repressing. And that comes back to the displacement model. I find that the more courage, beauty, and transformational wisdom we bring to space, the less apt we are to feel the absence of that. So, but you're a mother. You have 3 beautiful sons. Your heart will be filled, breathtakingly joyful, and broken all the time, probably. You know much better than I would. I can't imagine. I feel the pinch of my 13-year-old daughter. I fear her coming to Ubud. I mean, that's sort of my rant. And, it's just one of those instincts that you just feel. I think that comes with the human territory of uncallousing ourselves from the artifice of self-abuse, abuse from others, the toxicity of bad food. I mean, just examining food alone is enough to radically change your emotional life. And those of you who do yoga, especially if you have a really adept yoga teacher or a guide, can, as you know, can really radically change your life. And often in a very upsetting way. You become very sensitive and often very insensitive to things. And meditation is one of those things as well. So, anything else before we end? Please take your time, think, feel. We're okay for today? Please take your time.
There's 2 things. One, but I guess I just want to speak more to, can you talk more about the addiction aspect of things?
The addiction.
Yeah, because I know that's something I've struggled with, and I work with a lot of people on, and I feel like I could kind of try to not go too much in the intellectual and talk about this through other systems. I feel like I can kind of feel what you're talking about there.
I can talk to you about it. Sure.
If Dharma is overcoming fear and all these other experiences, right? Addictions a lot of time bring that up for us, right?
Addictions can bring it up.
Yeah. So how?
So what's your question there exactly?
Yeah. So I don't know. You spoke on addiction, and you spoke on that can be one of the most powerful experiences for a person, right?
One of the most beautiful.
Yeah.
Powerful. Yeah.
So.
How is that possible?
Yeah, how is that possible when the experience of it so often is
I'll give you a clue. I mean, the addiction to the negating of depression as somehow a flaw of human presence. That you're wallowing and you're unable, you're depressed. And look at the pervasiveness of antidepressants. Look at the pathologizing of depression as an inability of the human soul to cope. There's something wrong with you inherently. It's never looked at as, what is your name again?
Josh.
Justin.
Josh.
Just.
Josh.
Josh.
Yeah, so Josh.
Josh, you're telling me, Alan, I'm really depressed. I'm going, Josh, that rad, man. You'd be going you say that again? It really hurts. I'm saying, yeah, it does. But there's a way to hold that, embrace it, evolve it, that fucking is amazing. I'm a believer of those who've known the most complex things are the saints and savants that I want to be near. I'm not looking for the homogenized, well-adjusted fucking middle class, upper white middle class elite. I like the people who are misfits, that are radical, that are on the street. I like sex workers. I like soldiers. I like fucking dysfunctional politicians. I've gone on record ad nauseum that the only plant medicine that I would advocate is for President Trump. Why do we do it all around when the real issue is him and the White House staff? Let's get real. I'm a depressed individual because it's a depressing situation. I do drugs and alcohol and act out because it's a fucking violent fabric. Get real. That's been my experience. So a couple of books that you can read. One, you can read my book. I'll be happy to give it to you. Instinct for Freedom. I beautify addiction. It's very taboo, but it's very popular if you get with it. You'll feel like you're one of the chosen ones. And if you really want to know the ins and outs of how to beautify an addiction, I don't know, anyone in here admit smoking? Come on. Everyone smokes in Ubud, right? Honestly, listen, I would never support someone in overcoming an addiction, but on beautifying it, I'm all down with it. And I was an abject smoker for years. I would still be smoking if my partner at the time would have bared with the smell of it. But I had to stop by beautifying it, taking the boogeyman out of it. So I learned to mindfully integrate smoking in the most elegant, sacred way. I saw it as sacrament. And I slowed the process down. I took the habit out of it. I took the addiction out of it. And slowly I became liberated rather than seeing that the cigarette was the problem. It was my attitude with it. That's all. I drink every fucking night. I'll be at cafe tonight if you want to come hang have a glass of wine. Fuck you. You can buy it for me, okay? I drink it like sacrament. I drink it like ayahuasca. Slowly, so slowly that most of the time I don't even finish the glass. But I don't mind doing things. So I would encourage you, whatever the addiction is, to slow it down. Take the habit out of it and say, I'm going to learn from this beautiful act. I'm going to transform it. I believe that we can transform things. Look at the world of placebo. I'm not sure that it's accurate, but if you look at this movie online in Canada, narrated by David Suzuki, called The Power of Placebo. And just it goes back to the power of consciousness. That there was this one, for example, this very beautiful young man who was super skilled with drinking hard alcohol. Like he could drink vodka and not be so affected by it. So they had him in and said, we're going to research your mind. And they gave him one shot of vodka. And he's, how are you feeling? The video camera's on him. They're documenting it. He's going, I'm down, man. It's okay. Here's the second shot. it's you know, second shot of vodka. What can I say? I'm okay. Third, fourth, fifth shot. He said, man, this is really, what kind of vodka is this? This is fucking amazing. And he's like, really like, he's slurring his words. Seventh, eighth shot. He's, okay, it's completely faux vodka. There's no alcohol in it at all. And he's acting completely drunk. And I believe that the power of mind over the substance is all about it. You're not an addict. You're just in denial of your power. Alcohol, cigarettes, sex, ideology. The biggest addicts in the world are enlightened spiritual teachers. That's why the predation happens so rapidly and pervasively in the world. So beautifying addiction is a really big one for me. And so it's just a switch of attitude. Really serious addicts, like heroin addicts, I would encourage them, which I've done for decades, if they're doing needles or they're doing powder, sanctify, revere, don't overcome. Sanctify, revere, embody, feel. How many women I've met who have partners who they can't speak with about sexual habit. How to take habit out of sexuality. The harder, faster, deeper model, for example. Thinking that the woman, that's what she wants. And it's not about a sex addiction, it's about a cultural addiction to a mind state that isn't about what you think it is. And the way to overcome that is to beautify intimacy, which means slow. Dude, slow the story down. Slow down. Come back. Slow down. Breathe. You don't want it like that? No, I don't. No, I don't. Slow down. It's not about being inside of me. I'm asking in our marriage to be intimate together in real time. In fact, for the next 6 months, I only want to hold hands. I want to beautify our intimacy again. Slow down. That's the biggest thing about addiction, is people don't realize it's not the thing, it's the speed in which you do it. And I can work with people on that level, so if you're into it, we can talk more about it. The other book I'd recommend to you is by the radical psychiatrist R.D. Laing, The Politics of Experience. Mandatory book. He's the one who coined many popular phrases that insanity is a sane response to an insane world. I couldn't agree more. And so depression and addiction to me are indicators of not being just an empath, but someone who really gets it. This is a really tough environment. Really, really tough.
Could you repeat that name and the title again?
I'm sorry, Indra?
Can you just repeat the
The name?
Yeah, the name.
Politics of Experience. R.D. Laing. R.D. Laing.
Oh, Lang.
R.D. Laing. So we're going to end for today with a couple of announcements. If you're scheduled to come back tomorrow, you're welcome to come back. May I invite you? No one has to register at this point. Just anyone in your life, any way that you want to propagate the gift of this experience. May I invite you to take a photograph, take a selfie, take a video, post it. Encourage our island family to come out. I think there are things that are being done here together that could really evolve this incredibly important location on the planet. I'm here out of choice, not default. I've lived on this island for several years. Some of you have lived here for decades. I want to invest in the evolution of the people and the culture. So may I invite you, go back, share, encourage, bring out your brothers and sisters, reluctant people. They can come for a minute, they can come for a morning, they can leave at any time. It's meant for those individuals. Will you do that? Please do it. Obviously, it's being offered as a gift. If you have interest to offer a contribution, that's your choice. No one's watching. There is a place, I think, that Samantha left somewhere in the hallway. And as I've joked to my friend here, Margaret, the people pleaser. No, you're going to be that. I live exclusively on the donations of other people, which isn't a lot. And some of you have asked during the break, how do you manage to pull this off? It's a bit of a miracle. Other people have donated to me. This villa is at $10,000. It was given to me for the week. Could be rented out to 15 different people. If you want to go to my Patreon page, you're welcome to pledge $1, $2, $5. Margaret's going to do 25.
You're down to 4.
And it's the only way in which I have any semblance of security. My books have long since gone because I'm not popular. If you haven't noticed. I'm not popular enough to be popular. So, and I am doing all I can to remove financial transaction from my presence. It's an experiment. The retreat that we have in Burma, some of you have asked about that. I know some of you have scheduled to go. That it's also on my website. It's offered freely, 10 days at my monastery in Burma. If you're interested, just go there and sign up, and I'll confirm with you. We're also having a 10-day tour of the country that I'm not taking anything for. We have an incredible guide. It'll be my final trip to Burma after 42 years. The reason for that is I have 4 books coming out in February called Burma's Voices of Freedom. They're interviews with Burma's leading revolutionaries over the last 35 years. Many of them are political prisoners or former political prisoners. The book is highly controversial, and so it's not something I want to do by being in the country again, by having put these books out. So this is my absolute last trip. If you have interest in the retreat or the tour itself, it's on my website. You're more than invited to register for that, and I'll talk to you more about that. Your notebooks, please bring that back. I'll speak more tomorrow about that community Sangha constellation of people and the next phase of what we do to investigate how those people impact us and what we can do to change that. So your notebooks, if you don't have a notebook that's big enough, I saw some of you, like Margaret's case here, bring an ample-sized notebook so you can really get down into that. You will trust me that by the second and third day, you will start to believe that you don't need those books that you bought. It's that book that you're creating that's really important. And last but not least, I'm a real believer in manifestation. I lost decades of my life, and I made choices by watching my mind watch itself over and over and over again. I didn't lose a lot of good life, but I did. I'm a doer, I'm a manifester. I like creation. I like bringing things forth. There are people in the room, no matter what you do spiritually or meditatively or psychologically, it'll never satisfy the soul unless you manifest. So if there's artistic, theological, philosophical, material, financial expressions in your heart, to be a father or to a mother, to be doing something differently, to shift your whole attitude about where you live and what you do, you have my undivided attention. And look around at our brothers and sisters here. It is very rare to be in sacred space. So you have a very rare place to explore the ins and outs of how to manifest. It's night, it's dark, the roof is off. I don't know about you, but I like the stars. I like astronomers. I like free thinkers. I like to dream beyond the horizon. And all I'm suggesting here is, as we leave, leaving on an empowered note, a passionate note, I leave with you the Martin Luther King phrase, what is your dream that's unlived yet? Who are you inside that's emerging that you want to give life to her? What is the creation? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to experience? What do you want to bring into the world? And lastly, what do you want to possibly abandon that no longer serves you? Make that list. What is your northern star and what is no longer your gravity? Okay? So from my heart to yours, thank you for letting me speak today and share company with you. I thank you from my heart. Anything I've said that's crossed the line, so be it. So be it. It's just warm up. So have a great night. I hope to see you somewhere down in town. If you do run into me, buy me a glass of wine. If not, you could leave some money in the till. Thank you, Samantha. Thank our Samantha. A big clap for Samantha. It could not happen without Samantha. You're an unbelievable angel of devotion and service. Thank you from my heart. Terry and Ian, who are not here, who've donated this beautiful villa, and Gemma, Terry's daughter, who's caretaking this space for us. So please, I could say you could leave what you could leave here, but I would take it. But please come back tomorrow if you want to come back. Bring your friends. Let it be something radical. Let's create a festival here that could be remembered. So have a great night, and thank you from my heart.